Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? We've got another little chatty video today. It's all about that confidence as you go into teaching. For me, it's Pilates, but it can really apply to any kind of terrifying new skill that you're diving into. And just to let you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think when I was really in the depths of struggling with that, just being really anxious about teaching, about public speaking, and all of that, I even researched any kind of tips on YouTube. I didn't find as much as I would have liked, so I thought I'd add to the sort of knowledge out there about this topic. So anything, that you're experiencing that you're really terrified of right now, just how through time and practice so quickly becomes so normal. When I started, I was really in that mindset of being really nervous. I didn't think I'd come out of it so quickly. I didn't think I'd feel so confident naturally so quickly. So just to go into a little bit more detail of what was really stressing me out before, I think it's just the newness of it, really, not having done something exactly like that before. I've had experience coaching through tennis, but that's something I've done my whole life, whereas Pilates is still new to me and it's something that I'm constantly learning about. So I guess I was just really getting in my head about getting everything perfect, making sure I get the routine right, making sure my cueing is good. And I think all of those intentions are good because I just wanted to do a good job. So it's completely normal to have those feelings. It's really interesting how through these kind of new situations, things can surface that you can notice why you're so stressed out about this. For instance, for me, I didn't even realize that that was a factor, but I kept having these nightmares about getting late to the session, which I didn't even realize. I guess I was stressed out about, but subconsciously, maybe I was. Before, I just had a lot more sleepless nights. I would easily wake up 7 times a night before having the session in the morning. So, again, that's completely normal. I know it can be quite scary if you're resisting that and thinking that you're going crazy essentially, but I think every time I would have that level of anxiousness, I would just tell myself these emotions are okay and just kind of accept them rather than push them away, and that would help me to calm down. But at the time, I couldn't really do much to completely remove the nerves. They would just be there and I would have to deal with them as they would surface. I think some things that really helped back when I was really stressed about it was to tell myself that I don't need to be perfect and just reminding myself that that's how I learn, that with anything new, you're not going to get it exactly how you want it, and that that's okay, and almost trying to make it a bit more fun, trying to enjoy the process a little bit more. And I just keep telling myself that this is part of learning and just trying to shift it into a more fun, exciting feeling rather than the anxiousness. For me, all that anxiety really expressed itself through the body, through fast heartbeat, as I said, not being able to sleep, sweating, shortness of breath, all of that. And again, as all of those things are happening, it's probably a natural response for many people to be like, this isn't for me, or this is too difficult, maybe I can't do this. And again, all of these are natural responses. But I think once you're able to see the nervousness for what it is, it's not going to stop you from actually showing up and actually progressing and getting better at something. Because to shake any of that, you still have to show up and you still have to try and get through it in whatever way you can. And I guess you really have to care about the thing that you want to get better at, because I think if I was like, oh, I actually don't really care about this, then I wouldn't have bothered to try and push through all of that. But I guess as I look back, the biggest nervousness for me was just speaking in front of a larger group. as I've never been a fan of that. I was never a fan of doing presentations at school. So just dealing with that silence from everyone else and you having to lead the session, I think that's what I found most daunting. So I think this can happen really with any different styles of, with any kinds of teaching, with any presentation, new jobs, and just new experiences, really. So, going on to what really helped me to get through building that confidence is just being prepared, preparation. So, having that lesson structure, going over it way too many times. I think I went over the first plan 30 times probably. And again, really just rehearsing, being comfortable with your own voice a bit more. So, having that structure was definitely a great support. And just having some timing references as well, so that I had my stopwatch during the session. I could refer to the plan and be like, I'm a bit behind or I'm a bit ahead, so I might want to change my pacing slightly. And I think once you actually start doing it, you really notice that a lot of that fear is in your head, that no one really cares if you make any mistakes, that you just focused on yourself a lot more than others are. And the more you put yourself in that situation and repeat that action, the fear really starts to dissolve more and more. So, some things that really helped me to just tell myself in those moments were again that it's okay to be a beginner, that you don't need to get everything perfect, and also just that if what's the worst thing that could happen, and if something does go wrong, so what? I think it helped me putting myself in the worst scenario and then being like, okay, let's say I mess up a whole session or I do all this bad. What's gonna happen in my life after that? Will I be okay? And all of the time, it's really not that big of a deal. So, in that sense, I guess looking back at times where I've challenged myself and managed to get through that really helped as well. And something that I found really interesting actually with having the sleepless nights at the beginning that I mentioned, I think that was first 4 weeks I really had that. And the funny thing was that I woke up several times during the night. I was really stressed, and like I said, I'd even have nightmares, but by the morning time I felt quite calm. I felt okay really, and I think having that anxiety during the night just allowed all the feelings to be felt, so that in the morning I was like, I know that this is the worst that can happen and I'll be okay. So if you're feeling that real nervousness during the night, just trust that right before the session in the morning you'll feel a lot better. And then obviously through having less sleep, you just tell yourself, oh, I'll just catch up a bit of sleep later. But yeah, just know that you will be okay. So now we'll talk about the shift that I felt. So as I mentioned, the lack of sleep was for the first 4 weeks, the first, let's say, up to 7 sessions. And every time I noticed that I woke up a little bit less during the night. Every time I was a little bit less nervous, which really helped to just push through that stage. And it really just started to get easier as I saw more confidence in myself. Just seeing that was more familiar with the cueing, with the structure, with the timing, and also just getting positive feedback as well, whether that's from others or yourself. After a session in my calendar, I'd write down great job or something just to give myself that positive feedback. Because if you don't do that, then no one else is obliged to tell you that you've done a good job. So the more I was exposed to that kind of skill, speaking in front of people, teaching, the more my mindset changed, just trusting myself more and just really leaning into wanting me to enjoy the session and not just thinking like, oh, like everyone else has to have a great time, but just thinking that I want to have a great time teaching as well, and just seeing that way I can give more also. So really after the first month I started to notice that going into the sessions, I wasn't nervous anymore. Maybe the first few minutes, if something went wrong or there was a little change, I'd have a bit of nervousness, but it was nowhere near as crippling. I felt that I was getting more confident with my pronunciation, with my wording, just how, again, just getting comfortable with my voice in the class, because I really think at the beginning it's hard to find that structure of words with the cueing. So even listening to other teachers really helped. And I just noticed my voice becoming more and more assertive, more comfortable. And what really feels different now, I think, is the enjoyment part. Going into a session more excited than nervous. Also, what feels really different is that it feels more personalized now. So because I'm more familiar with the structures and the cueing, it's a lot easier for me to just enjoy teaching the session, maybe change up an exercise during the session if I want to, add something, take away something, and really trust the timing a lot more as well. I'm not as dependent on the time tracking notes as I was, because I know that, let's say I don't fit in all the exercises, I know which ones I can skip. And yeah, I'm just not bothered about getting everything right on time as much anymore. I'd say the biggest difference is that it's just a lot more enjoyable, a lot more me, and I get to add that bit of my own flair to the teaching. Yeah, as I said, for me, that fear faded away a lot faster than I expected. I really thought I'd be getting the sleepless nights a lot longer and just figuring everything out, maybe even for half a year in terms of nervousness and anxiety, but the shift was really quick. And just getting more classes as well helped. I picked up some cover work so that I was doing more and more hours. So the more you expose yourself to practicing, the easier it will get for sure. So what I think this has really taught me about starting anything new is that it's so worth it, and all of those nerves, anxiety are so normal, such natural reactions, and that as long as you deal with them kindly, they will naturally just do its thing and process in their own way. And just to be a bit more patient with myself. I think especially as we get older, we expect of ourselves to be experts at everything so quickly, but there's a kind of joy in really being a beginner and learning something new. So not to let that fear stop those new experiences. So it makes me think whether confidence is something you build or something you wait for. And I think it's definitely a mix of the two, because if I was just waiting and not being aware of my feelings, of thought patterns and how to try and shift them into something more useful, then I think I would have struggled for a little bit longer and had to wait a bit longer. So I think it's a mix of building and waiting for confidence when it comes to these new skills. And just to not wait around until you feel ready, really, because at the beginning, I did not feel ready. And if I didn't start, regardless of not feeling ready, I think I wouldn't have started teaching for a year. So it's okay not to feel ready and start anyway, because that's just how you grow into it. So thank you so much for joining me for this little chat. If you have any questions related to this, let me know in the comments, and I'll be back soon with different topics and more Pilates sessions as well. So I'll see you in the next one.